facade of the church. This is in Notre Dame before it burned. That's probably still there. It didn't burn. Only the wood stuff on the inside burned. The outside stone is fine. So you see here, this is on the facade of the church. This is what's called Ecclesia and Synagoga. Any guesses on what that means?
Church and synagogue.
Church and synagogue. So which is which? Having a look at these images, which is which? And this is a very common image. Remember I said at the beginning about how art is used to spread the message? It's coded. So we're going to look at these two women.
Is the synagogue the blind one?
Yeah, the synagogue is the blind one, right? Look what's at her feet, on the bottom of her feet. What is that? Do you see that down there?
It's a tipped over something.
It's a tipped over something, yeah. What does that look like?
Crown?
I'll give you a hint. It's not on the ground in the one on the left. On the one on the left, it's back up on her head.
The crown.
Yeah, there's a crown on the ground. And if you look in her left hand, she's holding a staff that's broken in a bunch of pieces. And she's blindfolded. And she looks kind of sad. And she's holding in her right hand what look like tablets. You see that? Now, if you move to the figure to our left, they could be twin sisters. They're wearing the same dress, except that this sister on the left, Ecclesia, the church, she's standing. Her shoulders are back. She's wearing a crown that's on her head. The staff she's holding is in one piece. She's holding that cup in her hand. We saw that cup earlier. That's the cup that's used for the Eucharist, right? The message here is very clear, and it's very pervasive. See, here's again in a missal. This is from the 13th century in France. You can see it again, right? There's the sisters are dressed the same. One of them is with the blindfold. Her crown is fallen off her head. Broken staff. One on the left, she has the crown on her head. She's holding this time the Eucharist again, the chalice, and she's looking happy. Here's another church. This one's in England. Same deal, right? One on the left, church, crown on the head, staff. One on the right, synagogue, blindfolded. What's the message here? Well, again, if I was trying to paint the synagogue as villain, I would make her really ugly, right? She'd have warts. She would be all hunched over, kind of like a witch. I'd portray her like a witch. But what's interesting to note here is that that's not the case. They're basically twin sisters. They wear the same outfit. If only the one on the right, if only a synagoga would just take the blindfold off and see the truth, that she could be as beautiful and as gorgeous as the one on the left. So all you need to do is just accept Christ, is to just be baptized, and all that bad stuff goes away. Here's another example, and you can see it here very clearly, right? That if only that we could just take that blindfold off and do a little bit of a makeover, she'd just be gorgeous. This is from Strasbourg in France in the 15th century. So here's one last thing, just as an interesting side note. So, Jews lived as a minority in Christian Europe. They were the consummate minority, them and witches. And Jews were subject to, preaching, advertisements, propaganda from the church all the time. But it wasn't just a one-way street. It was a two-way street. The fact is that Jews, there was no symmetry between Jews and Christians. Christians had all the power, Jews had no power. But Jews could give as much as they got also. And this image here is one example of that. This comes to us from the Hamburg Machzor. It's a drawing. And what you have here is an attempt to reclaim the insult, to turn the insult around on the person using it against us. So this quote here surrounding this image comes to us from Shir HaShirim, from Song of Songs. And the quote says, from Lebanon, come with me, from Lebanon, my bride, with me, trip down from Amanah's peak. And what you see here in the middle is, could go inside a Hallmark card for Valentine's Day, where you have on the left a man on his knee, on bended knee, and he's a Jewish man because of the hat he's wearing, standing kind of before his beloved. But who's his beloved? It's Synagoga. How do we know that? Because she's blindfolded. Mm-hmm. You could have easily, in the Jewish manuscript, taken the blindfold off and portrayed Synagoga as this kind of beautiful, radiant woman. But if you took the blindfold off, you wouldn't know who that woman was. It's just some random beautiful woman wearing a crown. But as soon as you put that blindfold on, it's like, that's Synagoga. I've seen that around. And what's the message here? This is our beloved, and we love Judaism, and we pledge our undying love to Judaism.